Welcome back to the Queer Sister podcast. My name is Jasmine, and I'm bisexual, and my pronouns are she, her.
And I'm Natasha. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a lesbian.
So, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about a real downer today. Internalized homophobia. Internalized homophobia, which is you're gay and there's a lot of issues that you're dealing with that either I don't even. It's you're homophobic towards yourself. It is not even like you're homophobic towards other people. It's just like to yourself. Whether you are gay and you like hate that hate that part of yourself, or for me, it was a part of me that made me not know I was gay for 21 years. Like that's a big issue, and it affects everybody. And I don't know. So that's what we're talking about today. Real lighthearted.
So we were talking about it because you mentioned, well, like, 'cause you were cleaning up and going through old stuff, and you.
So I was in the garage. I found some old backpack. I think I'm pretty sure it was 8th grade because that's when like I was writing up a storm in 8th grade. Well, I wrote a lot of stuff in junior high, but in 8th grade I wrote the story because we were supposed to write a story, make up a story, and I just remembered. I guess I could have been influenced by a lot of shows that I watched, but I read it and it said this girl finds out she's bi, so she wants to tell her friend, and she's afraid of what her friend's going to say. And so then she realizes she's pregnant with her friend's brother. Like just drama, because that's all I do is drama. But like the whole issue was she was afraid to tell her friend she was bi, and she's pregnant with her brother's baby. But like the bi part is very important to what we're talking about right now. She was afraid, and then so she tells her friend in the story, and her friend like reacts terribly, and like is so upset with her and outraged that she's bi. Like how like I think she was in my head probably more mad that she was bi than I don't know. I can't like I didn't write a whole story. It was just like the synopsis of what I was going to write. Yeah, and so she finds out she's bi, and then the girl. This is okay. Trigger warning. She gets so upset that her friend doesn't want to be your friend anymore. So then she shoots everybody and kills herself. Now, yeah. So now I don't want people to be like, oh shoot, that's what she was feeling. Like, I mean, I guess because I was gonna write it, like, but like I didn't even like it didn't even. I don't know. What do you make of that before I say anything?
Because I mean, at the time, I think wasn't that around the time we were watching a lot of like TV, like
Shooting
so, that was like a dramatic turning point in like every show. So it was like it became so commonplace, and it's kind of sad because as it was becoming more commonplace on television, it was becoming more commonplace in real life too. Like more and more school. That's a whole other topic. But for you, like your way of like sort of like dealing with that, like internalize some sort of knowing you're queer was to shoot it. Like literally.
Kill it. Yeah. No, and I don't want to say this lightly, and I don't want people like to think like, oh my gosh, she had school shooter thoughts. Like, no, I definitely did not. I literally couldn't. I mean, I was gonna say couldn't kill a fly, but girl, I could kill a fly. But I couldn't kill anybody. Like, I don't want to kill nobody. Like, I just want to preference that. I don't want people to be like, oh my gosh, this girl was like a school like it just was all my media that I watched that I loved that had any type of representation for queerness. There was some sort of shooting. It had nothing to do with queerness.
That's a whole
but it was a big
issue too, like just about like killing your gays, and so every show that was a thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I was doing the killing your gay trope before. I mean, but I like
that's all you saw, and so that's how you solve the issue. Like that's how you get rid of a gay character. You kill them off really violently, like in a lot of film.
Oh my god! Like I'm really, like it's really hitting me, like saying it out loud, like knowing that people are gonna listen to this because I talked to Jasmine about this. Like me, as soon as I found it, I read it to her, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much internalized homophobia I had for me to even like come up with that premise. That even think that that would be an idea, like, or that would is any close to reality. That I mean, what could be, but like that people would be not accepting of someone's queerness, that the person is so devastated that the only option is to kill yourself.
Mhm.
Like that, like to me, it like hit me so hard that like I had such um internalized problems with myself. And then it also like makes me realize like, oh, that's why it took you so long. That's why you didn't know, like watching shows like, you know, yeah, these guys were cute. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like you could justify other explanations for liking things or for being obsessed with an actress because it's so internalized, it's so subconscious that you don't even, it's not sitting in the front of my brain. It's not like, oh yeah, you're gay, like some people are like, you're gay, and you push it down. Like I don't think I ever had, I mean I could have, and it was early and I pushed it down, I didn't know. Like, and that's would be like good to like really like go back and discover that, but it's kind of hard because I really repress a lot of stuff, and that's another issue. But I I don't know, it's just like it's such an issue of like it affects young queer people all the time. And another thing, like for young lesbians, and I know that like the word lesbian, I was telling Jess yesterday, the word lesbian just seems so harsh. And I was telling somebody, I was commenting on somebody's post the other day, and I was like, you know, like it gets easier, you know, it gets easier to say it a bunch of times, and eventually you'll get used to it. And yeah, but it's still like such a harsh word because of how society has made it a harsh word. Like I was saying, lesbian just sounds like lesbian. You know, it's like you're a lesbian. Like it's very butch. It's a very a strong woman type of
I
vibe.
was
And
thinking, oh, is it still here? The strong
what?
women in your life. Do you see it?
Oh, like what are you talking about? Oh, my picture of Beyonce. Can you guys see the Beyonce? It's the I am
It's
Sasha
barely
Fierce
visible.
drawing that I drew in the
And
back. For people who are just listening to this on like Spotify or whatever
she
or
drew
podcast app, you cannot see it, so please go to YouTube so you can. But I have my Rihanna drawing and my Beyonce drawing. It looks just like eyes. You can't even see the Beyonce,
well,
but
I don't know. I don't
it's
know.
great.
It's
Way to get
I'm
off
so sorry.
topic,
I'm
Jasmine.
so
This is the
sorry. I
money
just
drop.
it always like reminds me, like just like whenever you mention
Strong.
strong women, I always come back into this room and I look at it. I'm sorry. So.
No. Did you Okay, so let's get off of me. But did you deal with any kind of internalized homophobia as a
Well, I
child?
mean, because we talked about, me not, I didn't know what bisexuality was, but I knew I was queer. And so I literally thought
Mm-hmm.
maybe I was just, I don't know. Like I said, I thought I had to choose one or the other, but like maybe everybody had to do that. That doesn't make any
Mm-hmm.
sense. But at the time, when you have nothing else
Yeah.
to, categorize how you're feeling, of course, I'm going to just be like, hey, like, it's obviously like a decision. It was like another thing, like it was off topic but relative, like being ambidextrous and having to choose between right and left. That was like a real like big issue with me. Like people would get mad if like I switched.
Why do you just do
I would
both?
do both, but like in gymnastics or dance, whatever you do, like
Oh yeah,
you have
teachers
to
are very
you have to
particular
pick a
about
leg, you have to pick an arm, to write with, to draw with, to do everything with. So I would like practice at home left-handed, knowing it was wrong, and then right-handed would just be at school or whatever. But like and I think that's kind of how it was with my sexuality growing up. I knew that like something was like weird, but I'm just gonna continue doing the right thing, the right hand.
it. Did you say
You
weird?
know, what do you mean?
Did you say
I
weird
think
or
said
queer?
queer. I don't remember.
You said you knew something was
Oh,
weird? being gay ain't weird, girl.
I knew something was queer,
Go
and
ahead.
I kept that, I guess,
Okay.
internalized when I thought I had to be straight. Yeah, there was internalized homophobia. So I definitely,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's
Like it, like you thought, like, oh, when you said you had the crushes in high school, like you were like, okay, well, I'm straight. Like it was easy. Like, did you feel like it
well,
was
luckily
easier
in
to
high
just
school, I
be
don't know what it
straight
was,
than
if it was
be
just
queer?
because, like, at that point I had already decided that I was, supposed to be straight. So all mention of any woman, like in high school specifically, was just like, I guess I just didn't see anybody then. It wasn't until college, like I said, I revisited that idea and I was like, nah, like we heard something different. I think that applies to you. So yeah.
It was interesting to me that you went to you went to high school and you were like, oh yeah, I like these boys, so I'm straight, and like for 4 years that there was no girl that you ever thought
Okay.
was cute. Like to me, that's like
Okay.
I think that that's a little internalized.
Yeah,
There
no,
couldn't
and
have
I
been
think
4 years where like, no,
no,
thank you.
that's what it was. Like because I decided at that point, anybody that I'd seen during that time, it was like, okay, no, that's not an option because you decided when you were 14, get going into freshman year, you were straight, So, and I think, and I mean, and part of that was because I did go to like a Christian high school, and like that was there was nobody who presented as queer there. So like, it probably was just easier for me just
Yeah.
to be like, okay, turn it off and, continue, going on that
Yeah.
way. Yeah, that's interesting.
So, um, another like internalized homophobia like moment that I feel like a lot of queer women go through. And I don't know if queer men because I can't speak on their experience. But like another issue was I just remembered as a kid, that's like this is one thing, it wasn't me knowing that it was queer. And I guess if I actually dived into that idea of what I was thinking, I would have found out a little sooner. But like I just remembered as like junior high, high school or whatever, when somebody was affectionate to me, I cringed. Like it wasn't like I don't want you to be affectionate to me. It just was like like somebody like gave me a hug. Like I was not like every hug I cringed. Like let me clarify that. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is sexual. No, I don't want anybody like high school be like, oh, I gave her a hug when she in 2011 that girl was attracted to me. No, that's not what I meant. But it's like one of those things where it's like even if you're not attracted to somebody, it's like a different. It clicks different. Because me getting a hug from a guy, it wasn't. It obviously wasn't the same as me getting a hug
Yeah.
from a girl, or like a girl holding your hand. Like it made you feel something, and you were like, okay, get yourself together. Like I had these like things, like like I don't know, like you know what I'm saying? Like, was there ever a moment with you where you were like, whether it's a girl holding your hand or a girl was like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, you felt like, oh, I can't do this. Like, I don't want them to think that I'm being creepy. I don't want, like, you were very kind of pulled apart. So you kind of excluded yourself from that kind of interaction with girls because you didn't want them to think you were creepy or being too much or like, and it wasn't like a sexual thing at all, but I just remember in high school I was like that and I should have known, but
Well, I guess it's entirely different for me
right.
just because like I'm not a super affectionate. Like I am, but I'm not. Like I was never like. Over time, I got used to like hugging friends and doing stuff or whatever. But like I think I don't know, for a while I just wasn't super into that in the first place. So like I never even had a chance to be like, oh, it's kind of like step back or like I think it's a creepy
Mhm.
situation or whatever. Just so I don't know. That's a whole other topic.
Well, yeah, that's another topic, but I just remember this girl came out to me. This girl will know, but I don't talk to her anymore. But this girl came out to me, and I was in 7th grade. She came out to me in class, and I was just like, I didn't know how to respond. because we were in science class. Like, it was so random. She's like, read my diary from fourth grade. This is very specific, but she was like, read my diary from fourth grade. And I read it and I was like, okay. Like, I wasn't like mad about it. Like, go ahead, go off. I just didn't know what to do with it. You know what I mean? She gave me this information and didn't know what to do with it. And I just remembered, okay, like, whatever. Now, this is the issue. Like, I feel like she might feel, but it was my internalized homophobia. This nothing towards her. But we went outside to like recess, and it was like lunch, and she was like huggy with this girl, and I just remember she was like laying on her on the ground, and in my head my first thought was, if this girl knew she was gay, she would be so upset that she's on her like this. I remember thinking that way in seventh grade, or I think seventh grade. I was like, this girl would be so upset that she's on her like this, and like she's gay, like she likes girls and she's laying on her like that. Like, basically, like, the audacity. And that's like more of me thinking like, you can never be like that with girls because they're gonna think that. But I didn't know I was gay, but it seems like I did, but I didn't. That's what's so crazy about internalized homophobia.
Like, I mean, like, this is like a whole other psychological thing where you definitely.
Well, yeah, but that's like the tip of it. It's
like
the root and the base of it.
Homophobia like actually hurts people mentally and like stunts their growth and like prevents them from entering into the community and like having friends and just like there's a lot of that there. And not to say that like all queer people have like issues and problems or whatever, because there's plenty of people who like grow up their entire lives being out and proud and like it's fine and they can live their everyday life. But for a lot of people who are stuck in a closet or maybe can't want to like come out and aren't able to, or like in your case, like, or both our cases, never been exposed, and then having to deal with like these different parts of ourselves, like like that is an issue, and like society needs to change that. Like that needs to be addressed everywhere. Like it's hurting like generations and generations of people.
I agree. But yeah, just like looking back, it didn't really hit me. Like I knew that I remember those stories. Obviously, I didn't remember the story that I wrote, but I remember those like little things of like, yeah, I don't want to seem. I just in my head, you don't want to seem creepy. You don't want to seem predatory, and that's a big issue in lesbian community. We could talk about that, but like I didn't want to seem that way. And I didn't even, not that like, oh, I don't want them to think that I like them. It just was like, I don't want to seem, that was my only like narrative. I don't want them to feel like I'm creepy or that I'm predatory or like whatever. Like it was very, very internalized. It was very something, but it wasn't that I wasn't affectionate. It didn't affect me so much that I like couldn't hug people or like couldn't, like if someone like a friend held my hand, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Like palm sweaty, whatever the Eminem lyric is, mom spaghetti. You know what I mean? I couldn't, it's not like that, but it just was something that like came into my head every once in a while where it's like, oh, I see these two girls doing this. I see these girls all over each other and they're straight. But I was like, I just remember I could never do that. But as a straight person, why would you ever even think that? You know what I mean? So that's why I should have really investigated myself. But I was just like, I could never do that with somebody. Like people are gonna like think something or whatever, and that's just internalized stuff that I just never dealt with, and that's why it took me. That's why when a friend asked me, "You didn't know? You didn't know until 19 that you didn't like boys? You didn't know until 21 that you like girls?" Like that's a long time, and there's people who don't know until they're 60. Like there's people who don't know until 70, 80 years old because it's so ingrained in our society and the patriarchy, and it's so ingrained in our heads that there's for a woman, there's nothing else but to like men and to want to be with a man, marry a man.
Like the whole part of the American dream was to marry the opposite sex, have you said the other day, 2.5 children.
That's the thing. I don't want to it's a saying. I understand that you can't have a half of a kid, but they say 2 or 3 kids, so 2.5 kids. It's the saying, honey.
But yes, like that's very pushed to the forefront of everybody's heads. So everybody thinks that they have to have that. There's people who don't want a house, but still work so hard to buy a house because that's part of the American dream. I mean, I don't know. Like it's not bad to want that. Like that's totally fine, but that shouldn't.
Yeah, you could want to have a husband,
but that shouldn't be the default. But like that shouldn't be your only option. We should be able to see different, things out there. We should be able to explore so many different avenues and still find happiness in our own way.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't mean it to be like a downer. I mean, that was great. But yeah, it just was like something that really hit me when I found that like prompt, that writing synopsis of writing a story for. Actually, I wrote that story for somebody, so that should have told me something too. I'm not going to say the name because that person does follow me on Instagram. But I like wrote that story for someone because they're like, write me a story. Hopefully they don't remember. And so like because I only remembered because I saw the girl's name on the paper. But anyways, so like I just like it hit me how hard I was so deep in a closet. At that point, we were in Narnia. There was not like we wasn't in like a wardrobe. We were in like so far where we was enjoying the straight life and we didn't even know that there was another side. So that's how that affected me so strongly. And that's why I wanted to talk about it. Because people always ask, how did you not know? How did you not know? Girl. I don't know. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say.
All right. Well, on that note, yeah, thanks for listening to the Persistent Podcast. My name is Jasmine.
And I'm Natasha. And listen to the next episode when it comes out.
Yeah, please.
Looking to start your own podcast? Buzzsprout is the easiest way to go about creating a professional podcast. Natasha and I, along with more than 100,000 other podcasters, use Buzzsprout to seamlessly get your podcast onto every major podcasting platform. You get a really cool website, podcast players that you can use on other sites, detailed analytics, and a whole host of tools to promote your episodes. If you're ready to get started on your own show using Buzzsprout, click the affiliate link in the show notes to get a $20 Amazon gift card and to help support the show. Thanks.